You think you're a normal person when you're home alone? Yeah, that's cute. The truth is, when no one's watching, people do things so weird that if they got caught, they'd seriously consider changing their name and moving to another state to start over. Like suddenly becoming the main character, arguing with people who do not exist, and making decisions so questionable that even logic clocks out and goes home. And don't even pretend. You don't just do one of these. You've done at least 10. Today, no filters, no denial. These are 31 weird things you do when no one's watching. And trust me, you're going to recognize every single one. We'll start easy. Probably. Story 1. Giving an Oscar acceptance speech in the mirror. You are not just looking in the mirror. You walk into the bathroom with the energy of someone who just won an Oscar for Best Leading Actor in a movie nobody watched. You stare straight at yourself, eyes full of depth lips, trembling like you just survived an emotional journey, when really it was just kind of a tiring day. Then you start the speech. You thank the people who never believed in you. You thank your crush who never replied to your texts. You even thank someone you do not clearly remember yourself, but they sound extremely important. You pause, take a deep breath, pretend to wipe away tears, and nod like you are receiving a standing ovation. In that moment, you genuinely believe you are standing on a Hollywood stage, until you realize your only audience is a bunch of cold bathroom tiles. And the scary part is, that performance was more convincing than half the movies in theaters. And if you think that is the peak, just wait until you walk into the bathroom. Story 2. Imaginary arguments in the shower. The shower is not just for getting clean. It is where you revisit arguments that ended 10 years ago and finally win them in a completely dominant way. You stand there, water running down your face, and suddenly, boom, your brain replays an old line that still annoys you. This time it is different. You deliver the perfect comeback. Short, sharp, absolutely devastating. If the other person were actually there. You replay the entire conversation like a Broadway show, adding emotion, adding emphasis, even throwing in dramatic pauses. And in that moment, you win. A flawless victory. No rebuttal, no argument back. There is just one small problem. The other person has no idea this battle even exists. You walk out of the shower clean, confident, and completely alone with your imaginary victory. And the wild part is, your brain is nowhere near done with this yet. Story 3. Eating like a goblin by the sink. Table manners are something you use when other people are around. But when you are alone, you are no longer a polite human being. You are a full-on goblin. You stand right by the sink, open the fridge, and start eating whatever is within reach. You do not need a plate. You do not need a chair. You do not need flattering lighting. You hunch over and eat cold food straight from the container like you are carrying out a secret mission. If someone saw you, they would think you were hiding from the police, not having dinner. You do not eat bite by bite. You consume food at a deeply concerning speed, like someone is about to snatch it out of your hands. And then it hits you. This is not eating anymore. This is survival. The plate is sitting right there next to you, but you do not use it, because you know, washing it would be more exhausting than eating with your hands. And if you think that is peak laziness, trust me, there is still a higher level. Story 4. Smelling a shirt to decide if you can wear it again. This is not laundry. This is forensic science. You stand in front of a pile of clothes, pick up a shirt, and begin the inspection process like a full CSI expert. No equipment, no degree, just one deep inhale. You lift the shirt right up to your face, close your eyes, and focus. Is this the smell of yesterday or 2 days ago? Are there any warning signs? Can this still pass in public for one more day? The moment of decision comes fast. If the smell does not make you want to pass out, congratulations, that shirt is officially back in rotation. You do not call that lazy. You call it resource optimization. And in some weird way, you just passed a personal survival test that nobody even knows happened. The problem is, you are going to do it again tomorrow. And right after that, you turn and open the fridge. Like all the answers are in there. Story 5. Opening the fridge. 5 times. You do not open the fridge because you are hungry. You open it like you are waiting for a miracle. The door swings open, the light comes on, and you just stand there staring like a scientist observing an experiment, even though absolutely nothing has changed. You look at every shelf, old leftovers, a bottle of water, a few things you do not even remember buying. Nothing looks appealing. You let out a small sigh, close the door, and walk away like you just finished checking on something very important. 2 minutes later, you come back. You open the door again with the exact same unreasonable hope. Maybe this time something new will be in there. And of course, nothing has changed. But you still stand there for a few more seconds like you are negotiating with fate. The truth is, you are not hungry at all. You are just bored. And once that boredom hits peak level, your brain starts coming up with things that are even more ridiculous. Story 6. Googling your symptoms and deciding you're about to die. All it takes is a mild headache, and suddenly you start thinking like you are about to write your will. You pull out your phone and calmly type, "What is a headache?" And 5 minutes later, you have diagnosed yourself with 3 rare diseases. One condition that only shows up in tropical regions, and another one that sounds like AI just invented it. You read every line with a deeply serious expression, nodding like a medical specialist, even though your medical knowledge comes from a website with flashing ads. You no longer trust your body, you trust Google. And Google is never gentle. In your head, everything escalates fast. From "maybe I just need more sleep" to "I probably only have a few days left." You even start wondering what song should play at your funeral so people know you had taste. And then 30 minutes later, you feel better. But trust me, this level of paranoia still is not the peak. Story 7. Thinking. There's a hidden camera. Suddenly, for no clear reason at all, you get the feeling that you are being filmed. Not like there is actually a real camera there, but more like a vague feeling, as if someone is watching you. And immediately you start changing the way you act. You adjust the way you sit. You stand a little straighter. You try to walk more normally, the version of yourself you think looks acceptable to other people. You even stop doing weird things. Even though just a few minutes ago you were talking to the fridge like it was your best friend. You start performing. No script, no audience, but somehow still taking it very seriously. There is just one small problem. There is no camera. No one is watching. There is no show being filmed. But you still act like you are in a reality TV series. And the funny part is, you are the show. A program with no viewers still airing every single day. But sometimes, you do not just perform. You also create the whole storyline yourself. Story 8. Talking to yourself. You are not talking to yourself. You are debating. A full-on debate with 2 clearly defined sides. And both of them are you. It starts out pretty normal, like maybe I should do this, and then immediately another voice shows up. No, that is a stupid idea. And just like that, the argument begins. You pace back and forth, nod counter, your own points, bring up examples, and even change your tone like you are 2 completely different people. Things escalate fast. You make sharp arguments, fire back with flawless logic, and at some point you genuinely think you are about to win. Until you realize you just argued against yourself and somehow lost on both sides. There is no winner. There is no audience. It is just you standing there staring into space, having wasted 5 minutes of your life on a completely pointless debate. And the funny part is, you are absolutely going to do it again tomorrow. But hey, at least you always have someone to talk to. Story 9. Talking to your pet. You talk to your pet like it is your personal therapist. Not the usual good boy kind of thing, but full serious conversations about life, work, and financial decisions that even you do not fully understand. Your voice goes a whole octave higher, like a light helium effect, but the content sounds like a corporate meeting. You explain everything in great detail, as if the dog or cat in front of you is taking notes and getting ready to offer strategic advice. You look into its eyes and wait for a reaction. It tilts its head a little, and you instantly believe it understands everything. Not just understands it, but deeply relates to it. In reality, it is probably just thinking about its next meal. But you keep going anyway, nodding like you just received incredibly wise advice. And the funny part is, you actually do feel better, until it looks at you with an expression that feels slightly judgmental. But honestly, sometimes, the one judging you the most is still you. Story 10. Being too scared to answer the phone. The phone starts ringing, and your heart immediately speeds up like you just heard an emergency siren. You look at the screen and see an unknown number, or worse, a name you simply do not have the energy to deal with. You do not answer. You stare at it like it is a ticking time bomb, waiting for it to stop on its own. Every second feels tense, like you are avoiding a conversation that could change your entire life. even though there is a 90% chance it is just a spam call. Finally, it stops. You let out a breath like you just survived a dangerous situation. But it is not over yet. You immediately open Google and type in the number like a detective working a case. You need to know who had the audacity to call you. You do not want to talk. You just want control of the situation. And the funny part is, you are more scared of a phone call than a horror movie. And speaking of horror, there are things even scarier than a ringing phone. Story 11. Walking like you're in a music video. You are not just walking through the house. You step out with the energy of someone filming a million-view music video. Every step slows down, has rhythm, has vibe. You stare off into the distance, your eyes full of deep thoughts like you are reflecting on something profound, when really you are just wondering if there is still water in the fridge. You imagine cameras filming you from different angles. Slow motion. A soft breeze moving through your hair, even though there is absolutely no wind inside the house. You adjust your walk, tilt your shoulders a little, lift your chin just slightly like you are walking a red carpet. In your head, the background music starts playing. Everything turns cinematic. You are the main character and this life is your movie. Until you stop in front of the kitchen and realize you were literally just walking over to get a glass of water. No camera, no director, no audience. But in your head, you just filmed a legendary scene. Story 12. Picking things up with your foot. You drop something on the floor. A normal person would bend down and pick it up. But no, you stand there for a few seconds, thinking, and then decide to activate full de-evolved primate mode. You stick your foot out, curl your toes, and try to grab the item like a monkey testing out survival skills. Your balance looks deeply questionable. You wobble a little, but you still refuse to bend down. Why? Because you do not want to spend one extra bit of energy. The moment you manage to lift it with your foot, you feel weirdly proud, like you just unlocked a new skill in a video game. But if anyone saw you, they would have a lot of questions about your life. And you know that, but you still do it. Because in that moment, flexibility is clearly more important than dignity. And trust me, your body still has even weirder ways to behave than this. Story 13. Popping pimples like an unhinged doctor. You walk into the bathroom just to take a quick look, but then it stops being quick real fast. You look in the mirror and fall into something close to a trance. You lean in completely focused like a surgeon about to handle a high-risk procedure. Every tiny pimple suddenly becomes a mission, a target, a problem that needs to be solved immediately. 5 minutes pass, then 10, then 40. You completely lose all sense of time and now it is just you in a full-scale battle against your own face. You promise yourself, okay, this is the last one, and then repeat that sentence about 12 more times. Finally, you step back, look in the mirror, and realize you look like you just lost a fist fight. Your skin is red, your face is tired, and everything looks worse than it did in the beginning. But the funny part is, you still believe you are in control of the situation. Story 14. Using the Force. You see the remote on the other side of the room, and for one brief moment, you think, I can do this. You do not get up. You do not move. You reach your hand out, squint your eyes, and focus all your energy like a full-on Jedi. You start trying to feel the Force. Your hand trembles a little, your expression turns deadly serious, and you even tilt your head slightly, like that is somehow going to increase your power. In your mind, everything feels incredibly dramatic. And then, you swear the remote just twitched a little. Just a tiny bit. Very small, but enough for you to believe you are getting closer to unlocking actual superpowers. You try again, this time with even more focus, and of course, nothing happens. No movement, no miracle. Just you standing there, arm raised in the air like you are waving at someone invisible. But the important part is, you still have not given up. Because deep down you still believe, next time might be different. Story 15. Interviewing yourself. You are not just thinking, you are hosting a full talk show in your head. You are the host, the guest, and the only audience. You open like a professional. So what inspired you? Then you switch roles instantly. You nod, smile humbly, and answer smoothly like you prepared this your whole life. Every response is perfect, deep, meaningful, and just the right amount of strategic humility to sound believable. You add pauses at the perfect moments, your eyes drifting off like you are recalling an emotional journey that never actually happened. In your head, the audience is clapping, the host is impressed, and you just dropped a quote that is about to go viral. You even give a small laugh, like you just said something incredibly smart. There is just one tiny detail. No one asked you anything. There are no cameras, there is no show, but you keep going anyway, because in your head, this show is winning an Emmy. Story 16, freezing when you hear a random noise. You are just sitting there normally, and then suddenly you hear a small click somewhere in the house. Not loud, not clear, but just enough to switch your brain into survival mode. You instantly freeze. No movement, no heavy breathing. You turn into a full statue like any motion might trigger something dangerous. Your hand slowly tightens around the remote, not because it is useful, but because it is the closest thing you have to a weapon. You scan the room, eyes tense like you are in a low-budget horror movie. You listen. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Nothing else happens. Finally, you exhale. It is nothing. Just some harmless noise. You relax, go back to your life like normal. But in your head, the question is still there. What if that actually was something? And just like that, even though everything is quiet again, your brain is not fully convinced. Story 17, eating cheese at midnight. It is midnight. The whole house is silent. You quietly open the fridge like you are on a top-secret mission. No main lights, just that dim glow. Enough for you to see the bag of cheese calling your name. You do not grab a plate. You do not grab a spoon. You open the bag and start pouring it straight into your mouth. No chewing, no savoring. You are inhaling cheese like it is the last energy source left on Earth. You stand there, slightly hunched eyes darting around like you are hiding from someone, even though you know no one is watching. Every tiny noise makes you freeze like you just got caught. In that moment, you are no longer a normal person. You are a creature surviving in the night. And deep down you know, this is not a meal. This is a cry for help, wrapped in cheddar. And the funny part is, you are fully aware of that, and you keep going anyway. Story 18, making weird voices. You are home alone, and suddenly decide it is the perfect time to test out your entire sound library. Not for any specific reason. Just, why not? You start with a few simple noises. Then, little by little, everything gets weirder. You push your voice higher, drop it lower, add a little shake, add a little distortion. Within minutes, you have created a whole collection of sounds that even you do not know how to describe. It sounds like an alien trying to communicate with humanity, and failing completely. You stop for a second, hear yourself, and immediately start laughing. If anyone accidentally heard this, they would not ask what you were doing. They would just call an exorcist. But the funny part is, you are not scared. You are having fun, in a way that is completely ridiculous, deeply childish, and weirdly satisfying. And deep down you know, you are absolutely going to do this again the next time nobody is watching. Story 19, checking the bathroom. You walk into the bathroom, but not to take a shower. You walk in like you are about to raid a secret base. Your eyes are serious, your body is tense, and you stand there for a few seconds like you are planning the operation. Then boom, you pull back the shower curtain in one sharp motion like you are catching someone red-handed. There is no background music, but in your head, this has full action movie energy. And you are not done yet. You check behind the door, you glance under the sink, you inspect every corner like a real special agent, even though logic says nobody could possibly be hiding in those places. And then just as expected, nobody is there. You exhale and start to feel safe again. But right as you turn away, you stop for 1 second. Are you sure? And just like that, you turn back and check one more time. Because even when everything is completely normal, your brain is still not fully convinced. Story 20, rereading your own text messages. You send a message and then do absolutely nothing. You go back and read it. Once. Then again, not to check for typos, but to admire yourself. You read every sentence, every word, nodding like a writer analyzing a classic piece. This line is good. That punchline hits. You even let out a small laugh like you just read something incredibly clever. You are not waiting for a reply. You are already satisfied with yourself. In your head, the other person is definitely going to read it and think, wow, this person is actually funny. In reality, they have not even opened the message. But that does not matter. You already gave yourself 5 stars. You are your own biggest fan and nobody is taking that spot. And the wild part is, you are completely confident about it. Maybe a little too confident. Story 21, drinking straight from the faucet. You literally have a glass right next to you. But no, you look at the faucet. and choose the primal path. You lean down, twist your neck into a questionable angle, turn on the water, and start drinking straight from it, like a creature that just discovered water for the first time. Water goes everywhere. Your face, your shirt. The floor is not safe either. But you do not stop. You try to line up the stream perfectly, but the more you try, the worse it gets. At one point, you almost inhale water, cough a little, and then keep going like nothing happened. In that moment, you completely abandon any concept of elegance. No dignity, no logic, just you and the faucet. And somehow, that water tastes better than usual. Maybe it is the weird posture, maybe it is because you just passed a physical challenge, but it actually hits different. You stand back up, wipe your face, and look around like nothing happened. But deep down you know, you are absolutely going to do this again. Story 22. Practicing facial expressions. You stand in front of the mirror, not to fix your hair, but to practice being a normal human. You try a small smile. Nope, too forced. You try again, add a bit of friendliness. Now you look like you are hiding something. You nod. Once, twice. Then you start analyzing. Does this nod look natural? Does it seem trustworthy? Would this make people think you are a stable person? Then you move on to your eyes. Looking straight ahead feels a little too intense. Looking off to the side makes you look like you are planning something. You adjust every tiny detail like an alien trying to learn how to blend in with humans. And somehow the more you practice, the worse it gets. You step back, look at yourself in the mirror, and realize you look more suspicious than when you started. You just spent 10 minutes failing at being a normal person, but you do not give up. Because somewhere in your head, you still believe there is a normal version of you waiting to be unlocked. Story 23. Running after turning off the lights. You turn off the lights, and the exact second that happens, your brain switches straight into survival mode. There is no proof, no sound, but you are 100% sure that something is waiting behind you. You do not walk, you sprint. A sudden burst of speed like you just heard the starting gun at the Olympics. You launch yourself down the hallway, heart racing, refusing to look back for even a second. Because you know if you look back, things will somehow get worse. You jump onto the bed, pull the blanket up like it is some kind of magical protective shield, and breathe hard like you just escaped a dangerous situation. And then, you lie there in the dark trying to convince yourself that there is nothing there. You are an adult. You have a job, responsibilities, maybe even pay your bills on time. But at the same time, you just ran like an 8-year-old because the dark felt suspicious. And the funny part is, even though you know it is ridiculous, that fear still feels completely real. Story 24. Making yourself emotional. You are completely fine. And then suddenly your brain decides to write a sad little script. Nobody asked for it. There is no specific reason. But it happens anyway. You start imagining an extremely emotional situation. Maybe it is a goodbye, a loss, or some story that has a 0% chance of ever happening in real life. But in your head, it all feels very real. You add imaginary background music, you add lighting, you add facial expressions, and within minutes, you have produced a full emotional drama. Then you start tearing up, your eyes get watery. You feel every emotion like it is actually happening. You are not just watching the movie. You are starring in it. And the funny part is, you are the writer, the director, and also the victim of that story. You are emotionally torturing yourself, and you are fully aware of it, but you keep going anyway, because somehow, it is actually kind of addictive. Story 25. Inspecting your nose pick. Nobody is proud of this one, but come on. Science is science. You start off innocent, just planning to take care of something real quick, because it feels a little uncomfortable. But then it quickly turns into a full mini excavation project. You focus like an explorer searching for buried treasure, and when the mission is complete, you do not stop there. No, you have to carefully inspect the result like you just discovered something important for humanity. You tilt your head, squint your eyes, analyze the texture, the size, the overall impressiveness. In that moment, you are not disgusted. You are curious, in a deeply concerning way. This is no longer just a bad habit. This is a personal research field that only you understand. And the funniest part is, you will deny all of it if anyone asks, because some secrets are meant to go to the grave. And honestly, nobody needs to know about this small research project of yours. Story 26. Holding your breath with a movie scene. A character in a movie dives underwater, and immediately you decide to join the challenge. Nobody asked you to, but you think, let's see how long I can last. You take a deep breath, hold it eyes locked on the screen like you are competing in the Olympics. The first few seconds feel fine. You are confident. You think you are doing great. Then 10 seconds pass. 20 seconds. Your body starts reacting. It gets uncomfortable, but you keep going because your ego refuses to lose to a fictional character. Meanwhile, the character on screen is still calmly swimming like a fish. You start to panic, your face turns red, your head feels a little dizzy, and eventually you have to breathe out in a full panic mode. You lost. Not just a little, you got completely destroyed. Reality check. If you were actually in that situation, you would have been game over a long time ago. But the funny part is, a few minutes later, you are still ready to try again. Story 27. Sneaking a peek at your neighbors. You are not being nosy. You are doing community observation. You crack the curtain open just a little enough to see outside without anyone seeing you. A small angle, a quick glance, very professional. You stand there, eyes scanning like a detective working a major case. Whose car just pulled up? What are they carrying inside? Why are they outside at this hour? In your head, everything has meaning. You start building a whole storyline. Maybe they just bought something secret. Maybe there is drama. Maybe something interesting is about to happen. And then, nothing happens. It is just a normal person doing normal things, living a normal life. No plot twist, no drama, no secrets. You stand there for a few seconds, slightly disappointed, then close the curtain like the case is officially closed. But you already know. In a few minutes, you are going to check again. Story 28. Peeling off dried glue. You accidentally get a bit of glue on your hand. And that is when everything begins. At first, it is just a thin layer, nothing important. But then you touch it and realize the texture is weirdly addictive. You start scratching it lightly, then pulling, then trying to peel off a whole strip like you are performing a delicate surgical procedure. Every time a clean piece comes off in one go, you feel a satisfaction that is hard to explain. You know this is a little strange. You also know you are an adult with a job and responsibilities, but in that moment, all of that disappears. It is just you, and the mission to remove every bit of glue perfectly. You do not stop halfway. You have to finish it. And when you are done, you look at your hand like you just achieved something personal. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds childish. But the truth is, you will absolutely do it again if you get the chance. And even weirder, you do not actually want to stop. Story 29. Opening the closet to catch a monster. You stand in front of the closet, and a very clear thought pops into your head. If something is in there, I am going to catch it. This is not a gentle check, not a slow open. You need the element of surprise. You take a deep breath, grab the handle, and yank it open. A sharp, decisive move like you are leading a high-level raid. In your head, everything is intense. If there is a monster, it will not have time to react. You stare straight inside, clothes hanging quietly. No sound, no movement, nothing. You nod a little more confident now. Yeah, we're good. But then, you take 2 steps away and your brain starts up again. What if it just had time to hide? You stop. The air suddenly feels suspicious for no reason. You turn back and look at the closet again. You know logic says there is nothing there, but your feelings strongly disagree, so you open it again. Just to be sure. Story 30. Eating food you dropped. You drop a piece of food on the floor. A moment of silence. You look down. You do not pick it up right away. You assess the situation like a full-risk analyst. Is this floor clean? How long has it been down there? Did anyone see that you start negotiating with yourself? 5 seconds? 3 seconds? Or a brand new rule you just invented on the spot. You glance around like there are hidden cameras waiting to catch this moment. Then you bend down, pick it up, and in your head the decision is already made. It's still fine. You blow on it lightly like that somehow solves all hygiene concerns, and then you eat it. In that moment, logic quietly leaves your body. You know this is not reasonable. You know you would never admit this if anyone asked, but you still do it. And the wild part is, you fully stand by that decision. Story 31. Carrying everything in one trip. You stand in front of a pile of stuff that needs to be brought inside and make a bold decision. I'm taking all of this in one trip. Not because it is convenient, but because you refuse to come back for a second trip like a normal person. You start loading everything onto your arms. This bag, that bag, one more. And then another one. Your arms stretch like tight ropes. Your fingers start changing color, but you keep going. You walk slowly, slightly off balance, looking like someone testing the limits of their own skeleton. Every step is a struggle. You can barely feel your hands anymore. But you keep moving, because making a second trip would be failure. Finally, you drop everything down and start breathing hard like you just completed an impossible mission. You might have almost broken your arms. You might have dropped a few things, but you did not go back. And in your head, that is not inconvenience. That is your final form of pride. After all that, one thing is very clear: the human brain works in extremely weird ways. We all think we are completely normal until we are alone and start doing things that would be very hard to explain if anyone saw them. So let me ask you honestly, out of all 31, which one made you go, wait, is that actually me? But don't tell me the one you like. Tell me the one you would never admit. Drop it in the comments, like if you saw yourself in this list. And subscribe, because trust me, there are way more things out there that make logic clock out and quit